A student in my program asked me, if I take away comfort food, how am I supposed to take the edge off? And that question, it cracked everything wide open. And in today's episode, we're going to dig into why those big emotions feel so scary and why so many women feel like they can't handle them. Oh, and we're also going to throw in some dating stories, some ghosting stories, and this whole Gen X disconnect that seems to be trending and hitting a little too close to home. I'm your host, Holly Bertone. So, a new student inside of the Break Emotional Eating Accelerator, she said something that just stopped me in my tracks. And she said, yeah, but Holly, if I take away my comfort food, what am I supposed to do when I'm stressed or overwhelmed? How am I supposed to take the edge off? And that right there, that's the $1,000,000 question. Because we think it's about food, but it's not just about the food. I mean, actually, it's never been about the food. It's about what we use the food for. And we use food to numb ourselves from those feelings that we don't want to feel. And if you think that's a little dramatic, let me ask you this. I want you to think back to the last time that you were either at a grocery store or to Target or something like that. And you walked up to the checkout line. And you kind of look around, there's two people ahead of you. And you look at the two people ahead of you, you look at the other people standing in the other lines. What is everyone doing? What is every single person standing in line doing? Are they just standing there? Are they making small talk with the person in front of them? Are they flipping through those magazines? Or are they on their phone? Yeah, every single time. And you might even be thinking, oh, God, Holly, yes, that's me too. Busted. Well, we live in a world where we can't even stand in line for 2 or 3 minutes without grabbing our Linus blanket, our phone. We live in a world where standing in line has now become so uncomfortable. So we reach for our phone to take the edge off. So here's the real question. If we can't stand in line without distracting ourselves for even 2 or 3 minutes, how on earth are we supposed to handle these big emotions when they come up? Because right now, 80% of people reach for food to deal with their emotions, aka emotional eating. And most of us, we're not just stressed every now and then. We are living in this state of chronic emotional inflammation. We wake up before we even open our eyes. We've got this non-stop to-do list just running through our head, and then rushing to get out the door, get the kids or the spouse out the door, and then rushing to work. And then it's meetings and meetings and deadlines, and then picking up groceries, and then dinner, and then after work and after dinner stuff. And like your day is nonstop. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge you for that. Because you keep going and you keep doing to make sure that everything gets done. And that says something about your character, that you've made these sacrifices. This tells me you're a strong woman who can do hard things. And I also want you to think about this. Do you think that that underlying hum of stress and frustration, do you think that's good for your nervous system? And none of this, yeah, but Holly, you don't understand my life. Just a simple yes or no to that question. Do you think that the underlying stress and that underlying hum and that underlying stress and that frustration, is this ideal for your nervous system? Because here's what happens. We have this baseline of stress that we start the day with. And let me ask you this, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you place your baseline stress? 1 to 10. Where is your baseline stress? Like, where do you start the day? And I'm guessing it's somewhere between a 4 and a 6 before the day even begins. But what happens every single day? You can't find your keys. You can't find your glasses. Someone cuts you off in traffic. You get into an argument with your spouse. Your dog poops on the carpet. Life gets lifey. And then your stress, it spikes every single time your day goes sideways. So now that stress, that baseline stress that starts as a hum, it just becomes a full-blown roar. And then what do? We eat. We eat because food equals comfort, because our brains have been trained over decades that food is how we cope. Now, I want to shift gears here. I actually want to talk about dating at 53. Yes, 53 years old and dating. And you might be wondering, okay, Holly, where is this going? Stay with me. I promise we are going to connect the dots. We're going to tie everything together into a pretty red bow at the end. I promise. Well, I met my husband back in 2008. So it has been 17 years since I've dated, since the divorce in 2022. Now, I had gone on a first couple of first dates, I should say. But then I realized, I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to just put myself out there. So I waited and waited and waited. And now I finally feel like I am ready to get out there. I'm ready to be intentional. I'm ready to meet someone. Not really date a bunch of guys, like date, like bunch of guys kind of date, but actually just meet a really good man. But can I just tell you, dating at 53, it is not for the weak. You go on the apps, and these guys who are my age, who are, late 40s into their 50s, these guys, they either look like they're my dad's age, or they look like they're a serial killer, or both. And they're holding this fish in their profile picture. Like, dude, we don't care about the size of your fish. Now, over the last 2 months, I ended up meeting two, I would call them high quality men in real life, like real life, in real life, IRL, not on an app, like legit real life met two men. And yes, the needle in the haystack actually exists. Well, I didn't get to spend a lot of time with them to really get to know them. But based on those just initial conversations and those in-person interactions, I mean, these guys seem to have the values and the presence and, great careers, like just genuinely seem to be really good quality guys. And I was genuinely interested in, getting to know them a little bit better after spending time with them in person. But you want to know what happened? So we had real life interactions and real life conversations and real life connections. And then all of a sudden, crickets. I got ghosted. Not once, but twice. Well, of course, because I'm a girl. It's what we do. The first thing that I did, I just complained to my friends because, hello, these are 50-ish-year-old grown men, great careers, like high-level careers. They make important decisions all day long. And they can't handle a 60-second text that's like, hey, Holly, you're awesome, but I'm just not feeling this. Wish you all the best. It's not that hard. That's all that it takes. And it's not like we've been together for years or anything. Like, we had some really cool conversations and, there was a little bit of momentum, and then that's it. So it would not be a difficult text to send. And honestly, like, from my perspective, it's rude. And it's emotionally immature. It's what someone in junior high school would do. Actually, junior high is probably better communication over text than that. But the way I see it too is if these guys can't handle just sending that basic of a text, how are they going to react when something goes sideways in the relationship? Like, this is preschool level communication. And yeah, I hear all the time about women getting ghosted and all the women getting ghosted these days. And I was like, oh, well, surely that wouldn't happen to me. Yeah, that's the energy that I hung out with for a minute because I was low-key irritated and both times. And yeah, Spicy Holly came out to play. But then all of a sudden, the light bulb just kind of went off and it hit me. Do you remember what I was talking about with the checkout line and how everyone's on their phone? Well, these men, the men who ghost, they are not capable of sitting with emotional discomfort. And when you can think about it from this perspective, ghosting, it's a classic freeze and fight sympathetic stress response. It's basically the nervous system saying, this is uncomfortable. And I don't want to feel uncomfortable, or I don't want to feel the uncomfortable thing. I don't want to do the uncomfortable thing. So I'm out of here. Exit stage left. And isn't that exactly what emotional eating is? We reach for the chips and the chocolate and the cookies and the pizza and the ice cream, even the wine, because facing what we feel, it just feels too big. Ghosting isn't just something that middle-aged men do to middle-aged women. It's something that us middle-aged women do to ourselves every single day. And when I went down the rabbit hole, because the last time I checked, us Gen Xers, we weren't raised like that. We were built to do the hard things. We were built to do the uncomfortable things. We were free-range kids. We babysat our siblings at when we were 10. We got paid to watch the neighbor's kid when we were 12. We were home alone. We were latchkey kids. We rode our bikes without helmets. I mean, 10 of us piled into Mom's station wagon. Remember in the back of Mom's station wagon, all of us bouncing around? I mean, we poured our own cereal on Saturday morning while our parents slept in. We figured it out. Like, we were kids who figured it out because we had to. We were rebels. We were scrappy. We were raised on this anthem of, you want something to cry about? I'll give you something to cry about. But now we panic if DoorDash is 5 minutes late or there's no oat milk in the fridge, which, by the way, get rid of that crap if you're still drinking it. So how in the heck did we become this generation who's afraid of our own feelings? Like, we can't sit with our emotions without needing a snack or needing to scroll or needing that glass of wine. Do you want my theory? I mean, if you don't, you can stop the episode. But if you want the theory, just keep listening because I'm going to give it to you. I mean, are you far enough down the rabbit hole with me right now that, like, I just totally sucked you into the vortex and you're like, okay, wasn't expecting this. So yeah, I'll just kind of stick around and see where this is going. All right, so here's my theory. The wire got crossed when escape became frictionless. And can you guess where I'm going to point the finger? That smartphone made distraction basically as natural as breathing. Now, if you haven't read the book, and it's called The Anxious Generation, and it's by Jonathan Haidt, and I'm awkward saying his name because I pronounce it Haidt, but I don't know how to pronounce it. It's H-A-I-D-T. I'm having trouble saying the D-T. So it's H-A-I-D-T. This book is a must read. And I'll put the link in the show notes. The book actually focuses on Gen Z and younger. But the principles of how the smartphone changed basically our mental health. These principles, they are spot on for any age. I mean, as I was reading, I kept thinking, oh yeah, guilty. I mean, it's focused on our younger generation, but I mean, it's a mirror. It's a really big mirror. And if you think about it from this perspective, we were raised analog, like the rotary phone. Like, we didn't grow up with emotional tools. We grew up with grit. Okay. We didn't have gentle parenting. We didn't have, yoga and meditation, like anything like that. We just figured it out. We skinned our knee and we kept playing. Like, we just sucked it up and soldiered on. Like, that's just how we were raised. Honestly, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way. But we got hijacked into the digital age. We went from analog to digital. And that smartphone lets us just bypass discomfort. Just a tap or a swipe, and then all of a sudden we are bypassing discomfort. So now when you think about it, we have been programmed over the last, however long you've had a phone, 10, 15 years since they've been out. So we've been programmed the last 10 or 15 years since we ditched the flip phone. And over time, we're not feeling anymore. And we're not reflecting anymore. So what do? We scroll, we snack, and we ghost. And just like the end of every Scooby-Doo episode, we're going to pull off the mask of the villain, and what do we see? It's not some creepy monster, just our reflection in the mirror. And we are dodging discomfort like Frogger hopping across a highway. And the tools that we do it is our food, it's our phones, and yes, even ghosting. But here's the thing, is that those tools are with us 24/7. They're easy. Food's everywhere, our phone's everywhere, right? But it's not about changing the tools. It's identifying why we're actually using them and what we are trying to run from. And if you're thinking that this is just about the food and the phones and, a few men holding some fish, oh my friend, we need to hang out some more. We are just getting started. Have you ever scrolled on your phone at a red light? Have you ever watched one more episode on Netflix than you planned to before bedtime? Have you ever said yes when you wanted to say no? Ghosting others, it is nothing compared to how we are ghosting ourselves. And we're just repackaging it into a different version. It's just the same pattern, but it's a different version. Discomfort equals danger, escape equals safety. And I haven't even talked about diet or anything diet related in this episode. But are you starting to see why it doesn't matter how hard you try to diet or how many calories you count, or just tell yourself, I just need more willpower, that this way of doing things, it doesn't work because it's all about the wiring. It's identifying those patterns that got us here in the first place. Your brain is currently in the back of your mom's station wagon with 10 other kids bouncing around. So if you want to actually break up with emotional eating for good, if you want to start losing weight in a healthy and a sustainable way, you need to stop bouncing around in the back of the station wagon and get in the driver's seat and start driving the car. Because right now your brain is saying feelings are unsafe. Avoid them. Danger, Will Robinson. You want your brain to be in the driver's seat. GPS locked and loaded. Destination, food freedom. And that is exactly what my students do inside of the Break Emotional Eating Accelerator. You retrain your brain to pause, to stay with yourself when that urge to escape shows up. And guess what? When you decide to remove food as comfort, you will have the skills to cope. So food is no longer your therapist. And guess what? Comfort food, it is a terrible therapist anyway, because it never listens and it always leaves you worse than it found you. And yeah, ghosting, it does say a lot about a person, but it says so much more when we ghost ourselves and when we aren't answering what our emotions need and want from us. So my friend, it is time to stop ghosting yourself and start ghosting those Oreos instead. Do me a favor. The next time you're in a checkout line, just keep your phone in your bag. Just be present. And then let me know what your experience was like, because I would love to know about what happened. You, my friend, you are Gen X. You're built for strong things. You don't need another diet, and you don't need to keep ghosting yourself. This episode, it came from a lot of time in the quiet and the insights that I gained about life. So I hope you enjoyed listening to it as much as I really enjoyed sharing it with you. So thank you for being here. It really does mean a lot. And I will see you on next week's episode.